Multiple sources telling ABC News that former President Donald Trump has now been indicted by a grand jury here in Manhattan. All of this, of course, in connection to hush money payments paid to adult film actress Stormy Daniels in the weeks just before the 2016 election. The indictment is sealed. It could be several days before we know exactly what the charges are. The former president speaking with our reporter just moments ago, saying they are trying to impact an election. What else he said in just a moment here. This, of course, is unprecedented. Donald Trump is the first president, current or former, ever to face criminal charges. A key witness in this indictment, his former attorney and fixer, Michael Cohen. Donald Trump, of course, is running for president again, and he is ahead in the Republican polls, and he vows to press on as he faces these criminal charges and several other investigations as well. The special counsel investigating January 6th and the classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. And in Georgia, the investigation into pressure to find the votes in a state Joe Biden narrowly won. But tonight, all eyes on this Manhattan grand jury and their indictment of a former president. The former president has been informed tonight, and ABC senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky leading us off outside the courthouse right here in Manhattan.
Tonight, a Manhattan grand jury voting to indict Donald Trump, making him the first president in American history to be charged with a crime. The investigation, which has been going on for years, involves a $130,000 hush money payment to porn actress Stormy Daniels in the closing weeks of the 2016 campaign, a payment Trump initially said he knew nothing about.
Did you know about the $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels?
But the former president's one-time fixer and lawyer, Michael Cohen, says he made the payment to Daniels at Trump's direction to silence her before the election. Trump's legal team now acknowledges the payment, but says Trump was trying to protect his family, not his campaign. Trump says he didn't have an affair with Daniels and that he didn't do anything wrong.
From the beginning, it's been one witch hunt and phony investigation after another.
In recent weeks, the former president stepped up his attacks on Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, warning of death and destruction if he's indicted and urging his supporters to protest. The NYPD is stepping up security around the court in Lower Manhattan, putting down barricades, all in preparation for this very moment.
Aaron Katersky, who was on the air with me late this afternoon as all of this was unfolding, back with us live now from Lower Manhattan. And Aaron, the grand jury, of course, has handed up this indictment. We don't know the charges at this point, but what's next for the former president? What can the American people watching us tonight expect to witness unfold in the coming days here?
That indictment remains sealed, David, until Trump appears here at court for arraignment. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office and Trump's legal team are going to have to work out a date. No date has yet been set, according to a court official I spoke with moments ago. And I'm just off the phone with Trump's lawyers, who say they will fight what they called a political prosecution. David, the security is going to be increased here in court and all over the city in preparation for potential protests, which Trump has called for. I'm told every member of the NYPD has been told to report in uniform at 7 a.m. tomorrow. David?
And Aaron, once the former president is brought to New York, it's still unclear what we'll actually see of the president.
We may not see much of him. Whether there are cameras in open court is going to be up to the judge in real time. He is going to be processed, fingerprinted potentially, and maybe even photographed. But whether we see much of him in a courtroom, we're not sure. If the former president has his way, though, David, he may want all of this to unfold in public.
All of this, of course, unprecedented. Aaron Katersky leading us off tonight. Former President Donald Trump will now have to come here to New York, as we were discussing, to face these charges. So let's bring in our chief Washington correspondent, Jonathan Karl, live in Washington. John, of course, we've never seen anything like this before. Former president now indicted. Donald Trump facing federal investigations in addition to this, involving the classified documents January 6th. He may face state charges in Georgia for allegedly interfering with the election there, pressuring authorities to find the votes after Joe Biden won that state narrowly. But speak to the history made here today, something that this country has really never witnessed.
David, we are truly in uncharted territory. It is not just that this is the first president or former president to be indicted to face criminal charges, but it is also somebody who is currently the leading candidate for the Republican presidential nomination. So this criminal proceeding will be playing out against the backdrop of an active presidential campaign. And Trump has made it perfectly clear that he would not be deterred from running if he were indicted. And David, as you alluded to, there are multiple other criminal investigations, the two federal investigations, one regarding January 6th, one regarding classified documents, both dealing with charges that are potentially significantly more serious than what he is facing in Manhattan.
John Carl with us tonight as well. John, thank you. Now to the former president's reaction tonight. The former president talking with our reporter just a short time ago. I want to bring in our executive editorial producer, John Santucci, who, of course, covered the former president for years for us, the campaign and his presidency. And you talked to him just moments ago.
David, I spoke to him a few moments ago. Sounded relaxed on the phone, said to me, this is an attack on our country. He called it political persecution. And David, as John Carl said, he is an active candidate. Donald Trump tells me they are trying to impact an election.
No indication he's going to stop now. In fact, he will use this as part of his campaign. He's indicated that already. In the meantime, you've also learned that the Trump team has been in contact, at least initial contact, with the Secret Service?
Described to me as preliminary conversations with the Secret Service, David, for two reasons. One, security around Mar-a-Lago, and as Aaron Katersky said, that process of getting the former president to New York. All
right, John Santucci with us tonight. John, thank you for that. In the meantime, I want to bring in our legal analyst tonight, Professor Kate Shaw, who is with us for all of these cases. This one in particular, though, unprecedented. And Kate, I was talking to you earlier, the prosecutors potentially looking at state charges here of falsifying records in relation to this hush money payment. But here's the question for you. If they try to connect this on a state level to violating federal election laws, this would be untested, not an easy prosecution.
That's right, David. I think this could be a novel legal theory, although I hasten to say we have yet to see the indictment, so we're not sure what's in it. But we're pretty sure that at the heart of this charge is filing false business records with an intent to defraud. That's a misdemeanor, a state charge that's typically a misdemeanor, but that can become a felony if it's done in furtherance of another crime. So the question becomes, what might that other crime be? And if it's a federal campaign finance crime, that is pretty novel legal terrain. It's also possible that there's another crime in the vein of a state tax crime that the false records charge is going to be tied to, making it into a felony. So that, I think, would be less novel and untested, more traditional state criminal prosecution. But of course, we have yet to see the indictment to really evaluate it.
And with just moments left, Kate, we could see this in days, the charges?
I think very likely within days, David.
All right. Kate Shaw tonight, John Santucci, John Carl, Aaron Katersky. Our thanks to the entire team. We'll continue to stay on this as it develops throughout the evening. Much more later tonight on Nightline and in the morning, of course, on GMA.